Everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to today's session on control to connection, the new way to raise strong, confident teens. It was almost 60 years back. I still remember it is there stored in my subconscious mind. 60 years back, when I visited my grandfather in the village, maybe I was about 8 to 9 years old. I was a city grown child. So, spending time with my grandfather in the village was a little difficult, but still I visited him. And then the first night, my grandfather told me, "Hey, look, don't put your head on the north direction and sleep." I was a little taken back. I mean, why is he giving me such instruction? And I was quite surprised. And so I asked him, "Why, Grandpa? Why should I do this?" And then, what was his answer or reply? He said, "Just shut up and listen to what I am saying and do what I am asking you to do." I was a little taken back because that's why that scene is still stored in my subconscious. This is what the answer I got from. And I was about to argue further when I saw my father staring at me. I said, "Okay, now enough. So let me not, continue this further." I stopped. That was 60 years back. 6 days back, my 5-year-old grandson yelled at me, "Grandpa, you missed the turning to my gymnastic class." I was actually taking my grandson to the gymnastic class, and of course, I did miss the turn. But should I now yell the way my grandfather yelled at me and say, "Oh, come on, I can always go in the next turn, I can take a U turn and come back. And so don't advise me and all that." Can I say that? So the question is, do you think that we can be the same parent today compared to how parents were 60 years back? How should parents be in our current generation? Would you like to know how, in today's internet and AI, artificial intelligence world, the parents should adapt themselves to have a good relationship with the young adult children? Please listen to this video podcast today and stay until the end to learn, understand, and correct ourselves and not miss our happy days and enjoy life with our children and maintain a lovely relationship with them in this generation. Let me repeat, loving relationship with our young adult children. Do you think it is possible? Let's check at the end of this podcast. To introduce myself, I am Sainath Vadatithanathan. I am a certified Ho'oponopono self-healing and law of attraction coach. Welcome to my YouTube Back to Ancient Healing. And today's podcast on control to connection, the new way to raise strong and confident teens. My life ambition has always been to analyze, if I may repeat, solutions for our day-to-day life scenarios. In my various podcasts, we may not be discussing how to get liberation or moksha or salvation or such similar terms. We will come to it eventually, but not now. Let's go step by step. Today, let us discuss how does a common man resolve or behave in a better way every day to become a better person and live happily with our children. Now, the approach to parenting among our ancestors, I'm talking about thousands of years back, not 60 years back. Our ancestors, thousands of years back, were deeply intertwined with their cultural, social, and economic context. Ancient civilizations to modern society, the evolution of parenting practices reflects the shifting values, norms, and for each era, the parenting practices of ancient civilization served as a cornerstone for subsequent approaches, shaping the upbringing of children for centuries to come. Maybe it is about finding a balance. We can embrace modern conveniences while also tapping into time tested ancient practices. At the end, parenting is all about love, care, and doing our best for our children. Whether we are using ancient wisdom or modern science, that fundamental truth remains the same. But the question remains as to how, as parents, we should deal with our children, especially the teenagers in the current world. To answer these questions, I decided that a subject matter expert who has the knowledge and experience on this subject could share this subject with our audience. So I decided to have a podcast with Rashmi. He's a life success coach, international speaker, and author with over 32 years of self-life experience, helping individuals build confidence, clarity, and the life skills needed to succeed in the real world. Her work is built on real life experience, where every principle has lived, tested, and proven in real situation. That's why I mentioned that she is an author too. As the picture you can see that she has written a book along with her son, who has also written a book. So her work is built on real life experience. At a defining point in her journey, Rashmi was placed in a situation where she had to step up, take responsibility, and navigate uncertainty without preparation. What could have overwhelmed her became the foundation of her strength. Because of the lies that experienced shaped a belief she now teaches worldwide. She believes that we are not prepared for life by education alone. We are prepared by the life skills we build. I underline the word life skills we build. In her corporate career in the United States, it was very interesting. She tripled her salary within 3 years while confidently navigating workplace challenges, including corporate bullying and setbacks, without ever compromising her values and self respect. As a parent, she chose a conscious and intentional path, going beyond traditional parenting to build deep connection, emotional strength, and independence in her children. Today, her children are confident, self aware, and thriving, living examples of the principles she teaches. And it showed in her children's life too. Having transitioned from India to the United States, Rashmi brings together the strength of her cultural values with the adaptability of a global perspective, creating a very powerful and balanced approach to growth, resilience, and success. Today, she has impacted thousands of students, parents, and professionals worldwide through her work with schools, colleges, universities, corporations, and youth organizations. She is the creator of Effective Parenting, a transformational platform that helps parents build deep connection, strengthen communication, and influence their child beyond authority. Her mission is very clear: to equip students with life skills before life demands it from them, to help parents build deep connection and influence beyond authority, to raise a generation that is confident, self aware, and prepared for real life. Welcome, Rashmi, and thank you so much for agreeing to participate in this podcast and share with the audience the knowledge and expertise on how to be a better person in this current world. So, to be very frank, I would like to start with my first question, which has been always with me throughout my life. What has changed? Is it the children or parenting? You would like to start with an introduction and then you can answer this question, Rashmi. Rashmi, it's all yours now.
Thank you so much, Sainath. I love this topic because honestly, so many parents are trying their best today and still feeling like something is not working. Not because they are doing something wrong, but because the world has changed a lot and parenting hasn't evolved at the same pace. Parenting has not become harder because children have changed. It has become harder because the world has changed, but our way of parenting has not to match the change. And the truth is, Sainath, everything parents are struggling with today, we already had answers to it in our ancient wisdom. We are just so worried in the moment that we are not taking a moment to look back and practice it. Actually, when I look back at our own roots, we already had a very powerful way of raising children. In teachings like Bhagavad Gita, the focus was never on controlling others. It was always on understanding yourself first. And that is exactly what's missing today in the roles as a parent. So in today's world, the parents are not lacking love. They're lacking clarity. They love their children deeply, but don't always know or have the clarity how to guide them in today's world. Looking at it, like earlier, parenting was about building a relationship when you and I were young. But today it has become about managing our kids' behavior, their actions, and My learning working with thousands of students is the children don't resist guidance, they resist control. So one simple shift can change everything for all the parents out there today. It doesn't matter whether we are already into AI world, or even, we don't know what technology brings 5 years from now. So listen to your child without trying to fix them immediately. A child who feels heard, Sainath, what I've heard from the kids is they don't need to fight to be understood, because they'll feel it that my parents understand me. In today's world, we are teaching children how to achieve different things, how to get great grades, because we are defining their identity with the marks they get, but not helping them understand who they are. So we are already placing them in a rat race, whosoever runs faster, whosoever wins, then you are an achiever. And that's what is causing all the pain as we go forward on our parenting journey. So that's why the concepts like dharma were so powerful in our ancient India, which helped individuals understand their role, their purpose, and inner strength. And if we look back, everyone was respected. It's not just the winner. Everyone had a place in the society. Whereas in today's focus, we are just looking who is winning. So in my work with teenagers, I've seen this again and again. When we stop blaming and start building responsibility, and I'm saying responsibility on both the fronts, not just on the kids, but on parents and on the kids, confidence and the connection between parent and child, it all automatically starts growing. And that has been my experience on this life journey. And to come back to our first question, so what has really changed? Children or parenting? And I guess both the sides will just point at each other. Parents will, can easily say, and we hear everyone saying, like, today's generation. Because most parents today feel confused. They feel overwhelmed. They're exhausted. And sometimes even helpless. Like, my parents never had to deal with this. Why do I have to deal? And I have no idea. It's like, without taking driving lessons, you are behind the wheel and you have to drive on a freeway. How scary that can be. But the thing is, children are not the problem. What has changed in the environment is the speed, how things are changing. The exposure our kids are getting, whether it's our teenager, forget about teenagers, even elementary school kids are like on screen addicted, we can say. The AI, the comparison, but parenting is still being done from the old unconscious pattern, or rather, I would say default. We are parenting how we were parented. So there has imagine like having an phone, whatever version it is, and having it like a version 1 or 2, and we want to use it in today's time without upgrading it. That's exactly how I see parenting, if I have to visualize. Because I remember a parent telling me, Sainath, like, my child doesn't listen anymore. And then I spoke to the child, and the child said, my parent don't understand me anymore. And in that moment, I realized both were right, but both were disconnected from each other. And the gap keeps on increasing. So it's how we as parents need to upgrade with the times, how children have changed. Back to you, Sainath.
Very, very interesting that it's version 1, version 2.
Yeah.
That was very good. But I'm just curious, how were children guided in ancient India?
Well, when I look back in ancient India, children were not just educated, they were prepared for life. We all are aware of the Gurukul system. It was not about the marks, it was about the mindset that the Gurukul system helped every child to build. They were taught responsibility early. They were given, chores or responsibility in a Gurukul system to do. There was discipline through lifestyle, not through authority. You do it because I'm saying so. No, you do it because you're part of the system. And there is a process, there's a discipline, and everyone followed that. And it was respect through relationship, not fear. If we look back in our Gurukul system, Sainath, the students had genuine respect for their guru, not out of fear. Many times, your and my generation, when we were in school, I can certainly speak for myself. There were some teachers, some gurus, whom I was forced to respect out of fear because of the social environment. And today, it has completely changed because that fear is gone. So today, we are raising informed children, but not prepared children. We are overloading them with information, but we are lacking the time and the efforts to prepare them to handle life. And that's why even smart kids today, struggle with confidence and directions or decision making because they are fed so much of information that it comes easy. And anything that's given easy is not developed in the child. Imagine if we never let our kids fall down when at the age of 1, when they started to, stand up and trying to walk. If we made it easy for them, carrying them all the time, our kids wouldn't be walking today because they wouldn't have developed that muscle in their legs to bear their body weight. And that's what is missing today compared to how it was in our Gurukul system. Back to you, Sainath.
Thank you. That was wonderful. But why is there a disconnect between parents and teens these days?
My observation, Sainath, is parents are talking more than ever, trying to be in their child's life 24 by 7, but connecting less. So we are talking, but there's not connection. So it's just they're hearing, but they don't feel it. So we are reaching their ears, not their heart. I feel that's a huge, big, distinction, because most communication today between a parent and a child is about correction. You are lacking here. You didn't do this. You didn't get a better grade. Look at your friend. So it's all about what are you doing wrong. In the Upanishads, learning happened through dialogue, through questioning, giving them a chance to reflect. What happened? Why it happened? Giving them that space to think. Right now, when we show them we are in the correction mode, they are reacting. So we are robbing them from a chance to reflect. Today, parents are even fearing to ask questions because they have so many questions. They're choosing top 5. Let me ask this because these are more important. A child who feels heard becomes a child who listens. And I'll repeat this because this is huge. A child who feels that the child is heard, not even understood, heard. Understood is a second level, but heard, they are more willing to listen. But if we are just talking and not listening, our kids feel that. When they don't feel that they're heard, they're also disengaging, disconnecting to listen. And imagine it's just two audio, voice notes going parallel to each other. It's not being received by either side. And that's where the disconnect or the gap is happening. And it's expanding not just every year, every month, but every day. Every situation, everything that happens between a parent and child, it's either bringing us together or taking us apart. Back to you, Sainath.
What I understood is it's more of better to respond to the children's action rather than react to what children talks to us back or behave and all that. That's what I could understand and all that. But how to raise strong children in today's artificial intelligence world, if I may call it AI world? How do you raise the strong children?
So AI will not just change careers in the corporate world or in the world, but it's changing identity. It's changing identity of our kids today. About how are they going to make decisions? What is their emotional strength? How do they define their self-worth? Is it by how many AI agents they make? I mean, if you and I see every single day, there's so much of bombardment of information. How the technology is changing, everybody in the world and social media is bombarding. Oh, you're missing this, you're missing this. Don't you and I sometimes feel the FOMO, fear of missing out? I need to hop onto every call so I can grab. Great. What am I doing with the information I'm grabbing? I don't even have time to process that. And that's how AI is going to change the identity, not just the career. So it becomes even more important. How do we build our kids up to have a clarity of who they are? What's their self-worth? Because it's not the technology that matters to parents. It's their child. It's their little bundle of joy whom they raised, whom they sacrificed everything for. So the concept of dharma, knowing your role, knowing my purpose or your responsibility, is what is becoming even more important in AI world today. Because if a child knows who they are, trust me, no technology can replace them. They'll actually become a master of using the technology because of being a strong, base of their own self-worth, being able to make the right choices. It's not limited to 2 or 3 things, how they'll be exposed to wrong things or, wrong choices. If they don't know how to make decisions, what are the chances of they making right versus wrong decisions? That's the bigger question, Sainath. Back to you.
Thank you. So, I mean, am I understanding that it should be a balanced way, the way children were dealt in the ancient times and in the modern times, how they should be dealt? Is it a balanced way? Or if I can ask the questions, how can parents bring ancient healing into modern parenting? How it was done in the ancient times, how can they implement it in the modern way?
And you said it very rightly, Sainath. It's a balance. It's never, leave your past and grab onto the future. It's how in every moment we can balance it all, taking all our ancient wisdom, at the same time adapting to the new changes, changing ourselves, learning new parenting, dynamics, parenting styles. Many times our ego holds us back. What's there to learn about parenting? Come on, I can go to your math class or, some other thing. Parenting? I know. I give birth. I'm a parent. That's the biggest thing we have to shatter today, because it's actually simpler than what we think, because it requires awareness. When I look at even myself, in spite of having all the information and knowledge, there's so much I'm learning every day. From everywhere I go and reach out. So I'm not just sitting, I'm hungry to learn, because my goal is how can I be the best version as a parent to my kids? So I'll share three core shifts that comes to my mind is number one is how can we go from control to connection? Because control only lasts for such a short time. Mm. We think when our kids are with us until 18, trust me, even after 12 or 13, we are losing control. And until then, it was a fake control we thought like we had, because they had not developed or grown up. So before correcting behavior, how can I, as a parent, try to understand their emotion, their perspective? So I have the data, I have their input. That will help me to go from control to connection, because I'm taking time to understand them. Second shift can be like from lecturing to listening. So easy to lecture. The biggest, toughest thing I have experienced is how do I hold back? How do I learn the art of listening? Because not every conversation needs your advice. Sometimes it needs our presence. Actually, more times it needs our presence, and very few times it needs our advice. And that ratio is so upside down. We are giving advice, let's say 90%, and 10% we are showing our presence. And we expect results which are just impossible to happen. And the third core shift that comes to my mind is how do we as parents go from pressure to purpose? Because pressure cannot last for long. Even if we use a pressure cooker, it can only hold pressure for a certain amount of time. Otherwise, it's going to explode. But if there's a purpose, if our kids feel that we are guiding them in purpose, disconnect and the gap will just dissolve. Don't just ask, what will you become? Help them discover who they are, because it doesn't matter what they'll become. What matters is once they know who they are. Both my kids grew up in Silicon Valley in Bay Area, California. So it would be by default expected they're going to go into, software or AI or technology. It has to be, because every child in Silicon Valley is, kind of groomed or conditioned to do that. But I'm so happy and glad that neither of my kids is in technology today. My daughter is a lawyer in a big law firm in New York, and my son is a CEO of his company. He started it early on. So they have nothing related to, but does that mean they're not using AI? Actually, both of them are, because each one of us is going to do that. But they found a purpose of their own life based on their strengths and their interests, not based on the environment they grew up in. So that's what I feel it can help bring our ancient wisdom to guide them, figure out their purpose rather than, controlling them or correcting them. Because I feel as a parent, I learned this long back, maybe, 20, 30 years back, and I feel blessed to have learned it then, that, and I have lived with that concept that I don't own my kids. That was a huge revelation for me when I became a mother early on. I don't own them. God has just used me as a medium to bring this soul into this world. And it's just a little people. I heard that word, little people. That changed a shift in my mindset to look at them, not that they lack something, they are developing. And that's why I feel parenting, the more we learn, we are able to do better, because each one of us love and care our kids. Like one of the examples I remember, like I had a student who was constantly blamed at home. And I don't think it was one student, probably each one of us has gone through it, or everyone can relate to that. And slowly this child stopped trying, because no matter what he did, there was always something lack based on the expectation of the parents. But when as part of my coaching program, when we shifted from blame to responsibility, something changed in that child, because now the child was wanting to do for himself. And then all the energy was focused there. So he didn't just improve, he started believing in himself. And I always feel, our kids are never the problem. It's very easy to blame them. And I'm saying this as a parent. It's not that easy for me to tell that, I'm the problem and my kids are not. But if I don't say that, I'll not be honest, neither to myself, to you, or to all our audience. Because parents want instant results. Okay, what can I do? But even the Wi-Fi is not always working or instant. Sometimes it takes time to load a website or page. So we expect our teenagers to stay calm. Think of our expectations, Sainath. My child should not raise his or her volume. My child should not think negative. My child should not disrespect me or anybody coming. How many expectations do we have? And when we lose patience in 10 seconds when they don't do, and we are telling them, be calm. And I'm reacting, I'm shouting, like, okay, let it be recorded, or let me see the mirror. Because in my work, I have always focused on three levels. Like, how do we build inner strength in a child so they know their own self-worth? Because if I don't know who I am, how am I becoming something? And how do we help them build their daily mastery with, life skills, habits? Because that helps them to make decisions. Let them fail early on, fail forward fast. Any child who fails at 5th grade is so much cheaper than the child failing in 9th grade, is so much cheaper than the child failing at 18, is still cheaper than the child failing at 25. But if we don't let our kids fail when they're young, we are actually, doing them more harm than any help. And then how do we help the child build leadership? Because every child has a potential. So how can we help them, empower them to build their confidence so they're able to communicate to the world? Because it doesn't matter in today's point. Specifically in AI world, it's going to be more challenging and more in demand these life skills. If your child can learn and master how to communicate, because everyone is going to have AI. So how are you going to be different 10 years from now, 5 years from now? So if I have to simplify everything for parents, focus less on controlling your child's behavior, because behavior is not happening in the moment. It's a build-up of habits, or how their patterns, but more on building their inner strength. So things, once inner strength is built up, their external behavior is going to change. Because at the end of the day, you're not raising a child just for today. You're raising a human being, a leader for their whole life, for tomorrow. So parenting is not about raising children who obey you. It's about raising human beings who can handle their life. And when we do this, I'm speaking from personal experience, Sainath, our kids are going to come back, and, we have to bear that, because we have to be that listening board for them to, stand strong. And it's only going to come back to you. So we have to hold that place. And maybe going back to ancient wisdom is not actually going backwards. It's coming back everything and what truly works, and carrying our ancient wisdom, adapting it, mixing it, upgrading ourselves as parents, and building that strong connection with our kids. That has been my experience, Sainath. Back to you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderfully said. So it's a paradigm shift for the parents, and parents should be, as you said, willing to shift. That's
Right.
wonderful. So, if I may ask you, what are the take home points for the audience? What would you like to share so that they remember and implement the same?
A couple of things that we talked about. Instead of controlling, let's try to connect. Give them the space. Instead of lecturing them or, what to do, let's show to our kids by presence. One of the things that helped me as a child growing up, my dad shared all his failures with me, not just his success. That was very different when I was growing up. And I took it further, and I shared all my good, bad, ugly with my kids, because that's the biggest thing they learn. So the failures I have had, or the challenges I have had, those are already the solution, because I had to overcome them. That's a guidance point. So, the takeaway is like, let's go from control to connection. Let's, instead of lecturing, connect, show our presence, and allow them to fail early on.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. That was wonderful. And we should try to analyze and think how to have this paradigm shift in ourselves, as you said, control to connection. Beautiful. And thank you, audience, for listening to this podcast. This podcast is about how parents should adapt themselves these days. But there is a sequel to this podcast where Rashmi and her young adult child will speak about how children should adapt themselves with their parents in their present world. So it's both sides, as Rashmi very clearly pointed out. We have provided my email ID and Rashmi's contact information at the bottom of this podcast video. You may contact either of us for further information. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and comments and subscribe to this channel so that you are able to access the sequel podcast too. Thank you so much. Love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. as said by Sri Satya Sai Baba. Thank you.